I think to start off these first few podcasts, we're going to focus on some specific divisions, get the conversations flowing. So we'll jump into the heavyweight division right now.
Yeah.
And where that starts out is the age of the heavyweight division. everyone is it's definitely the oldest.
Division.
Yeah, it's the oldest division in the UFC by far.
Yep.
And I guess it is changing though.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about how it's evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I always use the term the dinosaur division because, I mean, you got your Hall of Famers, you got your Mark Hunts, you got your, Leskys. I mean, but now I think, like, last 3-4 years definitely did not have the change you're seeing right now. With the young guys coming up, name a couple, Curtis Blades, Justin Willis, Alexander Volkov, I mean, just to name a few. Even Derek Lewis, he's not that young, but he's made a huge statement in the last 3 years.
Well, Francis isn't that young, but he's only been fighting for a few years. There's still a long way he can come.
And I think that's the difference now is, like, you got one new fighters, which is going to happen anyway, but you don't have guys that have been around the game for 15 years that everybody either knows or they've been around but nobody really cares to know about them. And you don't have just 5 fun fighters to watch. Like, I think there's I know we talked about it. Curtis Blades has had some tough times coming in, especially with Francis, but I think him in 2-3 years easily could be somebody going for the belt. Justin Willis, I mean, he's a stereotypical heavyweight right now. I think he's got a lot of entertaining stuff going on in his boat. I mean, now that JDS is coming back, yeah, he's older, but he can face a lot of these younger guys and see where he's at in his career.
He's actually not as old as I thought he was. I was surprised to see he's only 34.
34?
Yeah,
okay.
I thought he was definitely on the other side of 35.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, and then same thing is like, okay, you got a lot of different styles of heavyweights right now. So let's just start out with the obvious, DC. Okay? DC, powerhouse wrestler, grappling, just overall game has always been dominant. No one's really been able to figure it out, which from a fan's view, if you looked at DC, you'd go, how is this guy the heavyweight champ, and how is he only lost to John Jones, basically.
Yeah. You see him when Brock Lesnar came into the ring
and just shoved him.
He is so much smaller than him. He's a little dude compared to him.
That's a big man compared to him. But finds a way to win. Well, think about it. Stipe's no slouch. JDS is a super big dude. Obviously, Lesnar, Gustafsson when he fought him. Gustafsson's, 6'6", 6'7", almost. But I think somebody like DC is that middle ground. He's not the newer guy in, but he's got new-aged heavyweight. He's not going there to knock your head off or have the big punch knockout. He's not looking to only wrestle the whole time. You looked at that at Stipe. Knocked Stipe out with a short right. I don't know, I know he's not one of the younger guys, but I think he's changed the heavyweight division to show, you don't have to have the stereotypical guy there. You don't have to have a Brock Lesnar that just wants to bull rush you and overwhelm you. You don't need a Frank Mir that's just trying to turn knees inside out. Or you don't need a guy that's 265 pounds that just one punch takes your brain to the back of your head.
Yeah, I honestly think it shows that there's a lot less skill in the heavyweight division than in the other divisions right now.
That's probably a really valid point.
He's not as big as the other guys. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's a fantastic fighter. He's unreal. But it's not. I think there's a lot of opportunity for the heavyweight division to improve. I think it's the division with the most opportunity, and there are some young guys in it. I mean, a vast majority of the top half of the heavyweight division are guys approaching 40 that have been doing it for a long time, and they've been doing all kinds of organizations, and they've been successful. But as we're talking about how MMA on the whole has evolved, I think the heavyweight division has been the slowest in that evolution. So there are some guys coming up. I know Alex Volkov. He's going to regret that last 20 seconds against Derek Lewis for probably the rest of his career. He was so close to getting up there to get a title shot.
That was a
contender
he's
under 30, and he'll be back. There's a couple other young guys. Tai Tuivasa. He's 25.
I never say his name right, but I love watching the guy fight.
I mean, he could potentially be here for 15 more years. So I think that it's coming. The heavyweight division is just the last to come around. But it's coming.
Well, think of the people he's fought. So, okay, you bring up good about Ty, like Bam Bam. I'll just call him Bam Bam because I can't say his name right ever. He fought McSweeney. McSweeney was on Tough when they had him on there with Brendan Schaub and the heavyweights. Nobody crazy, but he fought him back in 2016, corner stopped him. Then you got, like, to beat Andrei Arlovsky, whether it's a decision or not, Andrei Arlovsky is still a guy that can put you out at any minute, or he's just for broke every time. So you don't underestimate, like...
Yeah, he doesn't have the same chin he used to, but he's still
he doesn't have the chin,
good.
But the power, like they always, it's the last thing to go. It is, and that's the reason he did it. And then, okay, JDS. He lost to JDS on a knockout. Who hasn't? JDS, I mean, so again, what you brought up, this guy's 25. This guy's got probably 10 more years in the heavyweight unless he goes into some serious wars. He's entertaining to watch. Dude's got a big gut. He's Hawaiian. Yeah. He comes in there. He's always dancing. He's always entertainment. He throws bombs all day long. What else do you want in the heavyweight? But that's the hard thing with the heavyweight right now. What else do you do than throw bombs or wrestle somebody?
Yeah.
If you're not DC, Stipe, or Kane.
It's definitely the most one-dimensional division.
You don't ever have a heavyweight winning by leg kicks. Submissions, but it's never entertaining submissions.
Frank Mir and Verdum, both that was they were great at that.
You're never going to see that again in the UFC as far as, I think Frank could do some things over in Bellator. I think this last fight with the jaw situation, that could be a big setback for a guy that has been through some wars also.
I think Alexei, I like
it. I like the bow constrictor.
Yeah, he'll get a hold of you, and he's not just looking to wrestle you and beat you up or
the
stand
Damian
up
Maia of the heavyweight.
Yeah.
I like that Mark Hunt fight more than anything because, one, Mark Hunt's not really a grappler, so Mark's going to have to throw more bombs and inside leg kicks. Alesky wants to just get a hold of you and choke you out. So it's two different game plans. It's not going to be slow. But, the only person he lost to that was anything decent was Curtis Blades. He submitted Albini, which, I'm sorry, after this last fight with Albini, I don't know how long he's going to be in the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
he's probably got one fight left.
He's got to win.
He subbed Travis Brown, and think about that. Travis Brown back, 2017? Yeah, he had some rough fights. Travis Brown was still a motherfucker to deal with.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of, he's going to always have subs.
Yeah, if you look at these, and they're all first and second round.
They're all first, yeah.
Yeah, he's just getting a hold of them.
He overwhelms you.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I don't talk enough about is Marcin Taberia. I always call him just Tabur. But, yeah, Stefan Struve, he won decision. Obviously, when Derek Lewis was on his streak, lost to him. Andrei Arlovsky, he won against him. There's another guy as young as he is. He's 33, but he could go another 5 years, and he could be a contender. Everybody in the heavyweight, I think right now, age-old saying anybody could come in and do something crazy.
Right. Well, there's always the puncher's chance in that division.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue with them being the last to come around as far as the level of the game evolving is the fact that you got to find someone that weighs 250 pounds to go up against, to train against. And there's not too many of those.
You don't have Kane and DC camps where you just have two brutes going at each other every day.
Yeah, it's so hard to find someone that big that you can really go at it with. That I think that's holding them back too. So as this sport gains traction and the bigger athletes choose to go that direction because now there's money in it and there's...
Or maybe a camp thinks about getting guys in there that are high-level linemen and say, look, think about it. I know how the guys bring the wrestling guys for featherweight, lightweight. Hey, I'm going to bring in an ex-lineman, and I want you just to try to take him down for 15 minutes, and this guy's going to have 50 pounds on you, which you'll never see.
Right. Some lineman with high school wrestling experience or college wrestling experience, too.
Keep somebody, get somebody in there that's going to give you a hard time. You could get...
No NFL coach is going to let that happen. Maybe some retired...
Well, if they were retired, get somebody that's retired. I don't know, man. I always thought about that. But, yeah, you're right. Training with someone consistently that's not bigger or the same size is hard to find.
Yeah, at that size, it's hard to find someone who's at that level, who's a big enough...
Push in the face, too.
Right, you're right. So I think that's holding them back, too. But I think it's all going in the right direction. It'll get there. It'll get there.
It's evolved, like I was saying earlier, 3 or 4 years, this division's turned to 180 compared to what it used to be. All you ever wanted to see, Mark Hunt, Andrei Arlovsky, JDS when he was in there active,
Alistair Overeem,
and DC when he came up. And then obviously out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar comes around. He does the Frank Mir stuff, which everybody was excited about. But then he disappears, and then we're back to what we did 10 years ago.
So we've been talking about the heavyweight division for a while now, and I don't know that we've even mentioned Stipe.
I knew you were going to say that.
Which is, I think, kind of fucked up. But
yeah, that's true.
It's kind of where the UFC is right now, which I don't hear any talk about Stipe fights.
Well, I don't think it helps that Stipe basically put his foot down and said, Dana, you're not going to control me as a fighter like you do other people. Whether that's true or not, saying, give me the belt, give it to my coach, put it around my stomach, and making a big deal about it. He has every right to do that. I don't think it helps his case to getting promoted as much. But people, it's like DC, man. People don't want to jump on with Stipe. Like everyone says, he's a part-time firefighter. He was heavyweight champ, most defense ever. Everybody in America should be behind him. Dude, he's got it. But that's the thing. This is where the sport's evolving. You want your bad boys. You want your uniqueness.
That's the uniqueness. He's the firefighter who's the fighter.
All right, so how many people jump behind Weidman, the All-American? If you want any more All-American than a wrestler, his dad is his coach, he's always in his corner, that's still my boy. Think about if Stipe's dad's in the corner with him, his wife's in the corner, and it's not going to help his case. People just don't jump on Stipe unless you're from Ohio. If you're up in Cleveland, you're MGK, listen to an album in the car with him. Besides that, nobody is going to jump on him like some other marketing stuff. There's so many marketable fighters, but it's how you market them.
Yeah, I just think it's a lot of missed opportunity because I think he is marketable. I think that
100%. I agree with you 100%.
Is marketable.
You can't
he's a great fighter,
it.
and he's accomplished more as a champion than anyone ever has in the UFC. I'm not ready to say he is the best champion in the history of the heavyweight division.
He's got a lot of time.
But yeah, he's 36.
He's got 4 more years in that type of division.
Yeah, he's only got 21 fights, but I mean, heavyweight fights could take a lot out of you.
That's a lot of wear.
Yeah.
Well, it's also too is with his success, how much longer is it worth taking potential a lot of punishment? Like, there's fights like with Francis, he could have taken a ton of damage, and thank goodness didn't.
He didn't. But
that could have set him back a lot longer. He doesn't want to take the risk of going against somebody that can put that damage on.
Recently, DC is the only one who's done it.
And
Francis clipped him, but he
that's
not
3
enough
punches.
Yeah,
that's 3 punches. We're not talking about like
right. It was the first round, so it wasn't 5 rounds of war.
5, yeah, or just having your face beat.
But before that, knocked out DeSantis first round, knocked out Overeem in the first round, knocked out Verdum in the first round. Those are not long fights that took a lot out of him.
God, that Verdum knockout was so great. Just falling around the cage.
Yeah, and then got him.
It just drops, and he looked at him like, oh, he's down.
Yeah. So the top of the heavyweight division is DC.
Yep.
Where is he going from here?
Oh, gosh, we could be here a minute. All right. So I know I said this the other day when I sent you over this information. I think DC realistically, in 2019, we're almost into March, I bet he fights 2 more times by the time he can get a schedule in.
2 more times in 2019 or 2 more times?
2 more times in 2019. You
think he's going to fight in 2020?
I think he gets either a trilogy fight with, we're not even going to talk about Jones yet, but that is a trilogy fight in 2020 allegedly, or he gets with Stipe this year or in 2020 retired. I think he retires early 2020. So at the max, he's got 3 fights.
3 fights?
Yep.
3 fights, and you said
2 of them this year, 1 of them early 2020, retires before middle of the year 2020.
So you think 3 fights, 1 of them is Jones, 1 of them is
Stipe,
and the other one is who?
It might be a money fight.
Like a Brock?
It could be a Brock. It could even be, we don't know after Kane Francis here what could happen. Think about it. Let's say Francis knocks out Kane, DC's training partner. They're like, hey, perfect marketing.
Yeah, that would
Let's
happen.
take the guy that slayed the alleged, in my opinion, the greatest heavyweight of all time, training partner, and let's put him in there and see how he puts up against it, and then finish his career out on that, or have that his second to last fight.
Yeah. Well, he's clearly not going to retire by his 40th birthday, like he always said.
No.
But I don't think he's going to make it to his 41st birthday. So
that's kind of what I'm looking at. So there you go, March next year.
Yeah,
yep.
I could see 1 fight early 2020.
I like that.
I don't know. He's saying right now he's got to rehab. He's got injuries he's got to deal with.
Which he may.
I don't see him fighting anytime before July at the earliest.
No.
So maybe he fights July International Fight Week.
When you brought that up, I like that, but it's all dependent on the rehab.
Yeah,
if he's
right.
really, really hurt and they're trying to disclose it, they're not going to want to put DC out there not as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
Especially against anybody that's a top 3.
Yeah, I see him defending his heavyweight title one time.
Yep.
And that may be against Brock. And it may be, I hope it's not. But
I hope it's not.
I prefer it to be against Stipe. I think that makes the most sense. And then I think that there's going to be enough money that he'll have a trilogy fight with Jones.
Yep.
But I think that's it. I think he's got 2 fights. I could see potentially 3. But I don't think he's going to do one more and go. I think he does have 2 fights that he's gonna fight.
Not even being biased because I'm a Stipe fan. Stipe deserves a rematch, okay? He's the most defending. I like that matchup because, like everybody says, let's say that first round doesn't happen that way. They go the second round. They get out of the second round. They get into a third round. Now we're in a whole different game plan with both guys because Stipe's gone 5 rounds. DC's gone 5 rounds. What's it going to take, what mess up, what mistake, or what new game plan that we could see that we didn't get to see the first time?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity. You can't say you've seen the whole fight play out because we didn't.
You may never either.
The other thing is, who else is getting that title shot?
Nobody.
Who else deserves it? I guess your thing where if Francis knocks out Kane tonight, then I could see the argument that Francis gets the title shot.
Well, the problem with that is it's not as much he deserves it; it's a marketable fight. Because Kane comes back.
Yeah, and he's
Kane
off
gets
whatever
starched.
off. Yeah.
He's been laid off, so everybody automatically assumes he's over the hill.
Yeah.
Now we got But here's the deal: is Francis going to come out with confidence, or is he going to come out like he did before with Derek Lewis and Stipe? So you don't know. Again,
big question.
Biggest question in the heavyweight division is anything's 50-50, man. You can not wake up for a day in the heavyweight division, or you can be the champ overnight.
So let's say DC does get 3 more fights in.
Okay.
Let's say it is a title fight against Brock, followed by
I know, I'm listening.
Followed by a title defense against Stipe.
Yep.
Followed by a trilogy fight with Jones. Leave it open-ended whether it's light heavyweight or heavyweight. A trilogy fight with Jones.
Yeah, heavyweight.
How well do you think he does in those 3 fights? You think he wins 2 of them?
I think he wins 2 of them.
Yeah?
Healthy. I'm not trying to put the injury card in there, but if he's having a really bad time right now because it's been a while since they've kept him under wraps, but also he just knocked out Stipe and heavyweight champion of the world. He doesn't have to jump right back in. Mm-hmm. Even if they're going to if they try to force him.
He didn't just knock out Stipe. When was that fight?
Well,
July? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so we're coming up on a year in this July, but at the same time...
He fought Derek Lewis, but, I mean, that was not a fight for him.
That's why I don't include it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. I definitely think he beats Brock if they win.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I was so convinced that Stipe was going to beat him the first time, and then he knocked him out in so convincing fashion. I don't know about that second fight, and I don't see him winning against Jones, but he very well could. So I think he could definitely win 2 of these fights. Yeah. I think he may win 3. I mean, we're talking about one of the best fighters ever.
All it comes I mean, hands down one of the greatest lightweight and heavyweights of all time. I mean, think about when he fought in WEC. He was a heavyweight champ there.
Mm-hmm, right.
And he was not fighting any slouches. But the old question, when's Father Time going to catch up?
It also is messed up that he could be number 1 pound for pound in the UFC pound for pound rankings. I think that's bogus that any heavyweight could ever be that's the exact opposite of pound for pound 4.
Yeah.
But he is nonetheless he is a fantastic fighter.
You're
one of the
always
best we've ever had.
He's always going to be top 3 just for the accomplishments and overall some of the embarrassments. There's a lot of embarrassing fights that he's done.
He's only won. He's only ever won.
I know.
There's nothing embarrassing about winning.
No, I mean, but no. That's what I'm saying. There's some embarrassing fights that he made top level guys look like children in that division.
Oh, embarrass them?
Embarrass them.
Oh, okay.
Not him.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about when you're fighting Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, when you're fighting guys like that can knock anyone out, Stipe and stuff, and then you just turn him into a child. Gustafsson, he did it. He threw him in a 180, man.
Oh, Gustafsson was a close fight.
And I mean, granted, that's at lightweight. I'm just meaning in
Gustafsson
general,
was a close fight.
The stuff that he did to people that a lot of other guys couldn't do, that's why he's at that level.
Yeah, he's just better.
Yeah, I like that. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. Man, I got to bring it up with it, though. Okay, so let's say he gets in a fight with Lesnar. Now we got 2 father time issues. We got a guy almost touching 41 or 40, and then we got another guy that's been in and off of whatever type of supplements, we're guessing, we're not going to speculate, and been in the WWE for a while, hasn't been training specifically for MMA. What happens in that fight if that happens? Size advantage or not, that's all DC does, is wrestle and train at high level.
Yeah, with the highest
with
level.
the highest level to top team.
Yep.
And that's it. Brock is doing WWE, doing commercials, whatever, marketing, whatever else. He's not 100% focused on his task right now. So, yeah, it's a money name, it's a money fight, but as far as the logistics go with the fight, is it actually going to be a good fight? Or is it going to be DC just overwhelms him like Kane did, and then there's no fighting, it's just beating up on a punching bag?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it'll be competitive. And I have a problem with bringing... Same thing happened with GSP. Bringing someone in like this who hasn't fought in so long for a title shot. If it's a big money fight...
If it's a money fight,
whatever. If you got people watching them, whatever. But to give him a title... Because, I mean, GSP, what do you do? Turn around like 2 weeks later and say, no, I'm not going to defend it. I would imagine Brock Lesnar's going to do the same thing, or he's going to act like he's going to defend it and then hang up the division.
He doesn't need it.
Yeah, I don't see that him winning either way, but I'm not a fan of the move.
Well, that also comes back to what the young fighters now in this league. That's, I wouldn't say the word unfair, but that doesn't help progress the heavyweight division. Let's say a bunch of these guys are waiting around because all these money fights and all these potential title fights of guys that haven't even fought. Now that pushes their timeline back, and you get someone like Stipe at 36. 2 years go by, that's a big difference.
You can't be waiting.
You can't be sitting around waiting, and I think that's what's going to happen is these guys are going to go, hey, man, it's been 2 years, I've fought 3 times, and I'm not even contender series because I got to wait for these other money fights to push through. Yeah. But obviously we all know that it doesn't matter what organization, what promotion, that has to happen because fans like us want to see matchups that matter, that are entertaining. It's not always about what makes the most sense on paper. There's no paper fighting, especially in the heavyweight division. I mean, let's just be honest. Everything can look good on paper. And then Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, that on paper looked like a nightmare knockout in heaven.
Yeah, that was
I was waiting for someone's head to come off of them.
Yep.
And then we go to a snooze fest, which, that's a whole podcast in itself. But
so speaking of entertaining fights,
okay,
what kind of heavyweight division fights that have been made? Now they're on paper. Are you interested in watching?
Absolutely. So,
I know for me the first one that comes to mind is tonight's fight. It's
I was going to say
Kane
we might
and
as well
Francis.
just jump right into Kane and Francis on that.
Yeah, it's going to be Kane's first fight in years.
Almost 3 years.
And Francis is always fun to watch unless it's Derek Lewis. And I guess that's the question is what Francis comes out. How much is he going to let his hands fly, or how cautious is he going to be? He hasn't looked the same since that Stipe fight. No. But I think that we're looking at the classic wrestler-striker.
Yep.
And
that can still strike.
Yeah, and they're the 2 most dangerous at that. I mean, it's the most dangerous wrestler and the most dangerous striker. So that's the fight I'm most excited for. That's tonight. I can't wait.
That's a big fight.
Really think Kane is the best heavyweight ever.
Yeah, I agree.
UFC or not,
you could have put him in any organization. You put him in Pride. He would have been one of the top.
I've
Steroids
been
or not.
so impressed with him ever since he was in the UFC. And he's just been so unfortunate with injuries. He cannot stay healthy. There was that whole fight in Mexico City where you see a Cain Velasquez who is known for his cardio just get
that altitude, man, catches up to you.
He could make it out. I mean, it's rough.
Did you hear about what they said about that? You're actually better if somebody would have talked to Cain and said, "Hey, you're going to Mexico City, right, to fight here in a couple months. You either need to leave now and be there 3-4 months, or you need to leave 3 days before and get there, just because your body's going to go through a shock regardless. The shock time's going to be less."
Yeah, I think
instead of training in an altitude that you've never trained in, and you got to get your body acclimated in 2 weeks, because he went up there 2 weeks prior. Verdum was up there almost 3 months.
Yeah, I think I heard T.J. Dillashaw say something like that.
He did,
saying that if you show up, then and you don't give your body time to start adjusting, it's not going to hurt you as much as if you were there for a week or 2 weeks. And I think they said like you need to be at least 8 weeks or do your whole camp there or something like that.
That's insane.
For that to really acclimate to your body so it doesn't
and that's
affect you. I also did not know that Mexico City was like
that high
another 50% higher than Denver.
Which that's what they said. They're like guys that train in Denver would struggle there. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. But
yeah, I think I saw it was like
50%
52. Yeah, 5,200 feet is the elevation in Denver, and Mexico City is like 7,400.
That's high.
It's like considerably higher. Which
when
I
hiked to 8,000, which was nothing compared to some people. I'm sure the people listening to this like, oh yeah, good for you, first time. But literally got up to the top, and I'm like, probably the most out of breath I've ever been, but not trying to show it. And I think that's what got Kane is obviously altitude. But dude, let's all be honest. Verdum is a motherfucker on the floor, on his back, on top of you from the first times that he got in Strikeforce days to even now in his 40s. You get around that guy and he gets a hold of you, you're losing a limb.
Verdum's great, but I don't think Kane looked himself.
He wasn't. And you also got to remember, too, that's a fight that, look at the guys he fought before. He wasn't fighting Brazilian black belts. He's not. He's fighting guys that are trying to take your head off. Dos Anjos, back when Silva was around, one of the best fights before he got hurt that I love, and I think it was because after Verdum tapped him out, is Travis Brown.
Yeah.
This reason Travis Brown's nose is fucked up as it is because Kane got back to his old style. But it's 2016. 3 years off, neck's been fucked up, back's been fucked up, but he's been training consistently with the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens.
So what do you think is going to happen tonight?
Okay. I would say, like everybody, I don't think it gets out of 2 rounds. My personal opinion. I don't think anybody's going to lag anybody into deeper rounds to try to tire him out or anything else. I think Francis, if he has his confidence, will go in there and do his usual, try to take someone's head off, but he might be more patient. He's still going to take a head off, but he's not going to be swinging for the fences as early to possibly gas out. I think Kane goes in, tries to take him down at some point to see how much advantage he has. If he realizes maybe Francis is too strong or it might take too much gas out of him, I think Kane keeps it on the feet, finishes with an uppercut. I think he finishes with an uppercut second round on Francis and just puts him out. Because Francis swings really wide. I think Kane's fast enough. He misses one of those, the ones that put Alistair into space. That misses, ducks under, follows through with an uppercut, cleans him. Absolutely starches him.
Be fun to watch.
But that's also from a guy sitting on his couch watching the fight, not knowing what the hell's going on and doesn't train like these guys. But I think Kane has not lost the talent to knowing how to win.
Yeah, I think Kane does know how to win.
Yeah.
And
there's a talent to know how to win. There's a game plan. You can always have the physical skills. He knows what works.
I think that halfway through this second round, if this fight is still going, it's over. Kane's going to win. I don't think that Francis can win it at any point later than that.
Yeah.
I think it could get out of the second round. I think it could go the distance. I think he could do the same thing Stipe did to him. Francis is going to be looking for someone to stop that, especially a wrestler like Kane.
Yeah.
But I think it could be an outcome.
I like that.
But I think that Kane's going to wrestle him down, tire him out. I think he is going to look to take him into the third or fourth round. But
I like this. 2 different complete views on it.
I definitely see Kane winning. I think Kane will win by stoppage. I don't think it'll be decision. I think that's a possibility. I also think Francis taking his head off in the first round is a possibility.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you got a guy like Francis.
But I think that's the stopping point. This halfway through the second round, if it's still going, Kane's already won.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we're all speculating here. I think both views, not being biased on my own, I think your view on that could definitely happen, especially with someone like Kane. A lot of people remember him, like the Nogueira knockout. I love that knockout because the combination, 3 punches in under a second, just absolutely took his head off. But then you have other times where, like we did with Lesnar, gets on top of you, wrestles you down, picks you up. The strength of him with the cardio is just one of the tenacious combinations he has.
Yeah, that Lesnar fight was one of my favorite fights ever to watch because it looked like they were overmatched. It looked like he was just this hulk of a man that was getting manhandled by Cain Velasquez. He's a giant man.
Yeah, but he's not all cut up.
He looks so much smaller.
He
not
didn't
nearly
have
as
traps to his
intimidating.
ears and shit. Yeah, I agree with that.
It was that was a fun one to see.
I like that.
So, any other fights in the heavyweight division coming up that you're interested in?
I mean, there's a lot I want to make. I know I did see something. So I've followed this for a while because I watched the Tough with the heavyweights. Ben Rothwell's coming back this year. And I like that because Ben Rothwell was a staple name. He was a different name. He's a little bit on the older side. He's 37, but he's been off for allegedly getting popped by USADA. We're not even going to get into that. I don't want to talk about any of that. But I think someone like him could bring a lot of new flavor back because let's say he comes back. So he's fighting Aveno. I guess that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Blagney that I've never watched much on. But let's say he comes back and starches him. Then they set up a fight with him. Maybe they get Curtis Blades in there against him. Get him somebody that's a top contender because Blades did just come off another loss after, winning several in a row. I don't know. Maybe get somebody like Ben in there after this fight. I like that matchup just because Ben always had knockout power like anybody else. But I don't know. I just like seeing a new face, man. I think that's what it comes down to again with the heavyweight division. You want to see new faces. I mean,
we're talking about a new face for a guy who's 37 years old.
37 years old.
Yeah.
That fought in the UFC. How many years had how many fights? Now,
it is good to get him in there and mix it up, though. And he needs fights now. I mean, he can't be fighting much longer. He's got to make one more run. And
I give you 2 years, and he'll retire.
Yeah, he's got to be getting there.
But I mean, let's say, even off here, it just fought Junior Dos Santos, which is no picnic at all. So he lost to him in a decision. Wasn't knocked out. Wasn't finished. Look at the backing that Ben's had in his career. Josh Barnett, Mitrione, Overeem, Brandon Vera when he was in the UFC. I mean, Gonzaga. Whether he wins or loses, this guy has fought almost every Mark Hunt, almost Kane, which that was a tough fight to watch too for Ben. But he has knocked out a lot of serious big time names in the heavyweight, and he's also lost to big names, which would make sense. So I don't know, seeing somebody like him come back this year, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Besides that, I mean, there's so many matchups that already happened. I like anybody with Derek Lewis. I like that coming up.
Derek Lewis and Dos Santos.
Dos Santos, I think that's two guys that want to sling the leather. They want to have fun in there. They want to be entertaining. Derek Lewis is almost entertaining, minus the Nagano, which I don't think that was truly his fault. He's going to be entertaining. I always love to see what he says afterwards, too. And Dos Santos coming back, I think, this year. I think he's fresh. He looks good. He's on a mission, and I think he's one of the guys in there that truly believes he can go and get the belt within 2 fights from now. Like 100% if he wins 2 fights from now against Derek Lewis and maybe one more after, he's fighting Stipe or DC this possible year.
And then
that's all if he wins.
Justin Willis scheduled to fight Curtis Blades.
I like that a lot.
Both of those guys are really on the up and up. I mean, Curtis Blades is just coming off his loss to Francis.
Yeah.
But before that, he was on a big winning streak. Justin Willis is on a big winning streak. So both of them, the winner of that is going to be on the short list of contenders.
Within 2 fights of going to contender of it. Yep.
So is there anyone in the heavyweight division who's outside of like the top 10 that you think could make a big play in the heavyweight division this year?
Yeah, so I know I talked about it earlier. I mean, he's not outside the top 10, but he's definitely a name that if I put 100 people in a room, I bet you 2 people would know him. And hell, I didn't even know him, is Alexei Olenek, that just tapped out Mark Hunt before.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being is that guy gets a lot of subs, like we said. He could go in there, and in 2 fights, he could be the same as Dos Santos, Derek Lewis, anybody else. He could be right up there waiting for a contention. Now, the problem with that is, are those going to be entertaining fights?
For some people.
I love that's what I said earlier. I love a big man that can get in there and choke you out, turn a knee inside out, whatever you want. But is anybody want to watch a guy that's just basically going to ground without the pound for three rounds, basically? Yeah. That's what I get at.
Yeah.
I mean,
the heavyweight division is the knock your head off division, and that's what people watch it for.
People want to see that.
Yeah. And it's great to see the chess match when you have someone who is trying to take a head off and someone who's just trying to get a hold of you.
Yep.
And then work your body and then put you out.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, I mean, somebody else, now I'm not going to get into it because I don't know much of the specifics anymore. Walt Harris did just get popped, allegedly, for a sample.
Really? Because he's scheduled to fight next March.
Yes,
March.
I don't think anything else is going to go forward with that yet. I haven't heard. I'll be honest with you, I haven't researched it. I know they said that. Walt's another guy that I really like. He was suspended for the CSAC, the CSAC, for the positive, apparently 232 UFC drug test. I don't know where that's gone from there. I hope that doesn't happen because he's entertaining to watch. That would be a guy I'd like to see do well here soon. I don't know. I'd like to see, I know he just fought Andrei Arlovsky. Maybe get, because Walt's a big dude, maybe get Stefan Struve in there against Walt.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's getting ready to fight, but those are two guys outside the top 10. Struve's getting ready to fight. Let's say Struve wins. Walt wins. Put them two together, then let them go and fight for a top 10, and maybe get a fight after that, win it, go to contention. I mean, that's the thing right now. You win 2 fights in the heavyweight division, top 10 or even 15.
Yeah,
you got a
two
shot.
Top 10 guys.
You got a shot to be on the pedestal real quick.
Just because, who else? They need new faces up there.
Yeah, everybody wants to see it.
In addition to them, I'm thinking
what do you got?
A couple light heavyweights could make a splash in the
Yeah.
heavyweight division this year. I mean, Alexander Gustafsson, I'm not sure what else he's going to do at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's really freaking good. He's not going to beat John.
I think that's a right size for him.
I think, as I was just saying earlier, that the heavyweight division is not that skilled.
Yeah.
And that he is much more skilled than most of the guys in the top 10 in the heavyweight division.
Hands and the feet, absolutely.
And that he is tall enough that he has a big enough frame, he could get big enough
He
that
packs
the size...
on a lot on off season, they said.
The size wouldn't affect him as much. He does, I mean, he can definitely make the 205, but I don't know what's there for him. He's the best guy. He's going to beat everyone. I think it's not John for now.
What about him and Struve? That'd be kind of sick. 2 big guys.
Yeah, Struve's even bigger.
Well, no, I know Struve's 7 foot, but they're both lean. I mean, Struve's a tall guy, but he's lean for that division. So maybe get 2 tall guys and see. There's something you don't see a lot of. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I think that Gustafsson could end up moving up to heavyweight now. He's already said he wants to chase that decision loss to DC, and DC's the heavyweight. So that's a tough one for him because I think DC's even better at heavyweight. But John Jones is the other, and I think he could also chase DC. And I think he'd be a really dangerous heavyweight if he these guys are not ranked in the top 10 of the heavyweight division right now, but they are both elite fighters. The only other one I see right now is Brock. He's not ranked in the top 10, but if he does come back and fight, it's going to be against someone at the top of the division. It's going to be a big
it's a
fight.
top 3.
So it'll be noteworthy if he ever does fight. And then the obvious one is Cain Velasquez, right?
Yep.
He's not ranked in the top 10 because he's been inactive for years. But as soon as he comes back and he can maintain healthy status, he is instantly going to be at the top of the division.
Yep. Yeah, this win this weekend, if he possibly does that, that could be. There's so many options. It's not even funny. Mm-hmm. And here's the deal: do you think the UFC would ever try to pull against the grain and have him and DC fight?
Oh, they might try, but they're not.
They'll never do it. Yeah.
Did you watch any of the UFC 235 press conference with Askren and Woodley?
Yes.
Where
they're like, absolutely not.
I mean, I don't covet my friends' belongings.
And I think that's good because at the end of the day, all that comes down to is money.
Yeah,
they're basically saying, I'm not going to fight my friend for money in a fight name just because you want to.
And Cain's been waiting for years. He'll wait
a
little bit longer.
Yeah, he'll wait a little longer.
Yeah, he'll wait a little bit longer. He as soon as DC's out, he'll make a run for it, and he'll probably get it.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think the belt will stay in that camp for a while. Whether it goes back and forth, I think it's going to stay in that camp.
So let's talk about heavyweight fights that have not been made that we want to see.
Yep. Let's check it out.
The first one I want to see, I know, is a DC and Stipe rematch.
Yep. I agree.
And
I agree.
I think Stipe has done enough as the champion to get his rematch. And like we were saying, I don't think that it makes sense for DC to fight anyone else.
No.
Unless he's chasing millions of dollars against Brock, which whatever, if that's what he wants to do.
And I don't think that's his MO.
But if you look at the top of the division, there's no one who deserves that fight more than Stipe, and I'd love to see the fight again. And if it's another first round knockout, which I'd be surprised if it is, but it could be, then I'll stop talking about it. But I'd love to see that rematch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be dull about that. That's one thing I'll have to say is I can latch on to that fight anytime. You can make that fight as many times. It's not going to be boring. I don't see Stipe. Stipe's never fought boring, whether he goes to decision or not. DC, he dances pretty much well with every partner he can put in there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have a situation where he's going to be dull because that's what goes back again in the heavyweight division, man. Yeah, everybody's looking to bounce heads and everybody wants to go in there full brink, but is it going to be an entertaining enough fight to where if it does go 5, is everybody happy with the outcome? Because they could absolutely go to decision. Are they both going to be bloody and battered, though?
Yeah.
You don't know. But I agree. I don't think there's going to be anything to not want to watch there.
Yeah, it seems like Stipe hasn't. The reason we haven't heard about Stipe fight is because he's not going to sign a fight until that rematch comes around.
Which makes sense. He deserves it.
He deserves it. Hey,
why isn't somebody in there, marketing or not, anything going, hey,
someone's got to be pulling for him.
Okay, Cody and TJ. That fight happened instantly because they said Cody deserves to have that rematch. He was the champ.
Why? He had one fight. Well, that was his first title defense.
I think it was because both of them had to go through the fire of the Bantam division. Think about the killers in the Bantam. Both of them went through. Whether TJ's might have looked a little tougher as far as his journey compared to Garbrandt's, they both had to go through absolute fires to get where they're at. And everybody wants to see that fight because they both hate each other tenaciously. To basically say, look, this is a marketable fight. It's entertaining to watch them banter back and forth. And obviously, when they get in the ring, you're not going to be disappointed. And look at it.
They clearly did hate each other. I think that's 100%. That's what gave it.
It was not a fake game.
Yeah.
There was 100% blood that was boiling every time they
That's
fought.
the reason they got the rematch. It's not because Cody did enough to deserve it. I mean, Cody's a great fighter, but Stipe has done enough to deserve a rematch at the heavyweight division. And he just hasn't gotten it.
Well, let's before we go to the next fight then. So let's say Stipe does get this. Let's say he fights, I'm going to say in July. I'm going to say a fight week in July for that rematch.
Stipe in DC.
Fight week, area, round July. Let's say Stipe loses. What happens with Stipe?
I think he continues fighting. DC's not going to be around for that long.
Yeah.
We know that. So
and Stipe knows that.
So, I mean, if he does lose, then you're getting in line with the rest. Now you're behind Curtis Blades. You got to go fight Alex Volkov. You're taking a step down in your next opponent. You're not getting immediate title shots.
Him and Volkov would be a really interesting fight.
But you're not done, I don't think, if you're Stipe.
No, and I don't at all allude to that. What I'm saying is what fight makes sense for the ex-champ to not just all of a sudden fall off the screen? Like, do they try to make him stay up there and be a highlight fighter that people know, or they just start letting him fight anybody and then hope they can move new guys and replacements? Like you said, because DC will leave. So let's say DC fights somebody, lose or win. There's guys coming up. What's going to be the right matchup for Stipe to stay in the cards?
I think Stipe will stay in the cards.
Do you?
I think he'll be maybe not a main event, but he'll be on the main card of pay-per-view, or he will be the main event of an undercard that's not a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They still have that marketability where they can he is the firefighter.
Dude, he's on the
he is
the Modelo commercials.
Right.
Let's go.
They can throw up the stat most successful consecutive heavyweight title defenses. I mean, they
just keep it moving.
Yeah, they haven't lost that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think that there'll be options. Even if he loses, he lost twice in a row to DC, who doesn't lose. And DC's retiring soon. He's not going anywhere. I think there'll be plenty of opportunities to give him good fights going forward.
Nice.
What about Kane? Is that one of those fights? Stipe versus Kane.
I like that a lot.
So the reason I want to see this fight is because I think Kane is the best heavyweight ever, and I think Stipe is the most decorated heavyweight in the UFC history, and I think that the winner of that fight might be the best heavyweight ever. So I'd love to see it.
I think that's spot on. I think you haven't seen two fighters, besides DC obviously, like Kane and Stipe go against each other. It's someone that Stipe's never fought. It's a style that he's fought before. It's a style that Kane's fought before. So really it's something to just say, hey, let's go in here, throw this leather, see what happens. Plus the two names. You go in there, you do the regular Stipe. You got Kane now, let's say he beats Francis. That's a huge fight. That's an absolutely monster fight because it's two names that basically anybody you talk to on the street will know at least the name.
And on top of that, you got DC, who took Stipe's belt.
Yep.
doesn't give him the rematch.
He's fighting his butt, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You say, all right, Kane's not going to fight you.
Come on in.
Yeah, I'll take out your buddy, and then after I beat up him, you give me my shot back. You give me a chance. That'll be. I don't know. I'd love that fight. I would love to see that fight.
Well, and Stipe's a good grappler, so going against a wrestler like Kane, there's going to be a lot of body slamming. It's not going to be all punches, but you don't know what could happen with that. That could be another first round knockout, real quick, either side. So I mean, hell, I don't think you can go wrong with that at all.
Next one on my list of wish list fights for the heavyweight division is DC Jones 3.
Yep. At heavyweight.
At heavyweight.
At heavyweight.
Yeah.
Not lightweight.
Yep. At heavyweight. I would love to see Jones chase DC up to heavyweight and take his lunch money from him there as well.
And then that'll really put the last nail in the coffin.
That really would.
That would be the final coffin.
You are the greatest fighter of your generation except for me.
Yep.
And I'm better.
Yep. Every time.
Yeah. I want to see that fight. I think it should. I don't want to see it right away. I'd like to see both of them fight other people before then. But that is definitely near on the short list of fights that I want to see in the heavyweight division.
So here's where we have a difference in opinions finally. Yeah. Do I like that fight 100%? In my life right now with everything that's gone on, I don't know if I'm kind of torn if I want to see it. The reason one, if DC was 35-36 right now, absolutely. Jones coming up to heavyweight is also entertaining to me, but I've never seen him at heavyweight. I've never seen him fight other heavyweights besides DC. So that's my thing is, okay, the DC fight might be cool, but then he stays up there, and maybe it's not as entertaining of a Jones fight. Now, I know we're talking about DC and Jones. I'm talking about Jones moving up to heavyweight. If he starts out with DC and beats him, I agree 100%. That's unreal. You'll never question it. You're never going to be able to say he wasn't the greatest of all time. I just have had so much negativity behind those two with all of the drug stuff, the legal issues, the USADA, that it almost takes away from how enjoyable that fight should be. Because I know everybody, which that shouldn't matter, nobody else's opinion should matter, everybody's going to have that little asterisk always in the back of their head and on paper, which pisses me off. And that's why I don't want to see that fight, because I don't want to hear about people again, well, yeah, but, he's always been a cheater. I wonder what he was on this time. That's what sucks. That takes away, personally to me, why that fight isn't as big as it was. If nothing had ever happened, I'd tell him to fight 10 fucking times. But that is what makes me not want to see it, honestly, compared to you. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to pay his $60, but I'm not going to fucking be happy about it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that feeling. Yeah. I understand that. It's unfortunate.
And I don't like it.
But I think a lot of this also has the Dillashaw Garbrandt. I mean, they don't know each other as well as Dillashaw and Garbrandt being on the same team at one point, but they truly do not like each other. And it's strange how it's worked out, because I feel like Jones has the 2 victories. I guess one was overturned, but Jones has the 2 victories. And to me, it feels like Jones wants the 3rd fight more than DC.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's because I don't know. I think DC is he may be over it, but somehow it's worked out. DC doesn't need that fight as much as I don't know that Jones needs it.
DC does, yeah.
I cannot say that Jones needs it, but it seems Jones to me like the cards are in the wrong hands. But it's interesting.
I think another thing that doesn't help me, and this is a physical thing, is watching them two fight. You have 2 different specimens fighting each other, and then they move up to heavyweight. I don't see the John Jones that I saw 3 or 4 years ago with the spinning back elbows, and I think it's going to be a more physical grappling, fence game, wrestling game. If you do a trilogy at heavyweight, is maybe also why I want to see the swinging, the high kicks, the inside leg kicks, the elbows. I'm worried that even if it's John Jones who does everything under the fucking book, if going up to heavyweight with more weight, different game plan, are you going to lose some of that? Are you not going to get the spinning elbows, the cutting elbows on top of the head, the leg kicks inside, the high kick that finished DC last time? Are you going to miss some of that, and are we just going to have a wrestling sex match at heavyweight? Because we've now gone up 40 fucking pounds. Uh-huh. Even if Jones, what do you think Jones is going to weigh at a heavyweight bout? 245 at the most? if he throws
yeah,
on
maybe.
muscle and
Yeah. See, I mean, have you seen pictures of him when he was powerlifting?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Or when he was
fuck.
when he was when he was grappling or he was doing the jiu-jitsu match and didn't care about his diet and he had like a belly out, no cut or nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, back when he was suspended from the UFC, and he has gotten powerlifting, and I mean, maybe that's when he took stuff that he's getting long-term tablets from. I don't know.
You said it, I didn't.
But he
was deadlifting like 435 with skinny
and I want to
legs.
see what that dude looks like when he fights. So I'd love to see him at heavyweight.
Do you think they can get him meaty for heavyweight instead of like thick? Like, he'll never be DC thick, but I'm saying, like, look at Jones in pictures from past if you're looking at him, and then you add 30 pounds. It's tough to have a six-pack and be Jones cut.
He did, dude.
Oh, God. Could you imagine?
Could
you imagine let's say 240 Jones?
230, 235.
Doesn't even weight cut, because he doesn't need to.
Right, yeah.
Goes in loaded to the gills with hydration and food.
Yeah, I think he could be as dangerous at heavyweight as he is at lightweight. I know for a fact DC's more dangerous at heavyweight than he is at lightweight.
100%.
So.
Well, because he's going with a full tank. He's not cutting anything that bad. He's not worrying about diet. He's training just like he did before. And by the way, he's training with Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, he's got best
training
ready? Partners. Yeah, he's great. I saw on your list you got Alexander Volkov and Junior Dos Santos. That's a fight you want to see.
I do. The reason being is because I like Volkov because, again, he's a younger upcomer in the heavyweight division.
He's one of the youngest, I think.
He's fought a lot of fun guys already, and I don't think he would disappoint against somebody like JDS. Now, I kind of want to look at a little bit of his background on some of the fights that he's had, but I think he could be a new heavyweight star that anyone will follow in there because he's in, like when he fought Verdum, and Verdum and them get ready to come out, and he's looking at Verdum and going like this with the hand wave because he knew Verdum was going to come out and do the Travis Brown kick to the face. Like, he's entertaining. Like, he doesn't look scared. We already said it. The Derek Lewis last-second knockout, I guarantee he's having nightmares every night about that.
Oh, my gosh. That's never ever going to go away. That sucks.
That could be the biggest motivation for him now to come through and run through the division. Because, honestly, until the Derek Lewis fight, he was running through the division.
Plus, the Drago name.
You're
always going to get interest. You can always sell that as
Drago is
the fucking Rocky America versus Russia
Rocky every time.
Oh yeah, and he looks the part, man. I mean, that's the dude in real life.
Be honest, I mean, he's got a lot of I hate keep saying marketable shit, but it is. You don't want just two fat guys that no one knows the name. You got to make them more entertaining in the heavyweight division.
Everyone knows the name Drago.
Everybody knows Drago, dude. Somebody's turned on Rocky IV right now, getting a lift in, listening to that soundtrack, and having a good day. It's the same thing if you have him fight. Someone's going to get excited to see a guy named Drago come out at almost 6'7". And the thing is, the dude can throw hands, great on the feet, moving around. He's quick off the toes. He kind of reminds me of Travis Brown before he switched up his wide stance where he was real light on his feet. Plus, same thing is he pressures you. I mean, okay, before Derek Lewis, Fabricio Verdum knocked him out. Stefan Struve knocked him out. Roy Nelson, he had a decision. And Johnson. Okay, so you're fighting guys that any punch is going to take you to the moon, like anybody else in the heavyweight. But he went toe-to-toe with them. I mean, the guy's already fought. I mean, if he was fighting, people super over the hill, I mean, yeah, Struve's always dangerous.
So, Junior Dos Santos, that's the matchup.
So going back to that, I like that because JDS has been looking really good lately. I've been watching his Snapchat. He's training hard. He's looking lean. His last fight I liked a lot. I think that's a new blood fight that somebody hasn't seen. It's two taller guys. They both like to throw the hands.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good striking
match. I think it's a good striking match, which I think obviously everybody wants to see, let alone they've never fought. So more reason for me to want to see him fight.
I guess the America versus Russia thing doesn't work there, but
it doesn't work there.
But
Brasilia versus Russia. I mean, if you're into that, I mean, whatever you want to do. But no, I mean, I think too, Bam Bam getting knocked out by Junior Dos Santos here recently. Bam Bam was coming up the list, knocking people out, was getting all crazy. He's kind of like the new age Mark Hunt, a little bit fatter, doesn't care. But
way fatter.
Yeah, that gut's bad, dude. But he's coming up. Junior knocks him out. So now Junior's back in the contention to start getting some fun fights. Volkov's coming up, knocks out Verdum, which Verdum we know is on the end of his career, which, whatever, but then goes to Derek Lewis, loses to him. Perfect timing. You got one guy that hasn't fought in a while that lost a couple big fights, who had a belt at one time, going against a new up-and-comer who's going for the belt. I think it's a great matchup.
So right now, Dos Santos is scheduled to fight Derek Lewis on March 10th.
Yes.
But, depending on how that fight goes,
yep,
especially if he beats Lewis,
yeah,
I think this would be a fun fight to watch.
And that's going to be an entertaining fight in itself, just because Lewis is always entertaining.
So the last one I got on my list is Jones and Stipe. I know we've talked about both these guys enough already. The reason I wanted to talk, I'd like to watch this fight is when Jones just beat DC before that fight was overturned.
The high leg kick.
You remember what? Yeah, when he was crying afterwards.
Yeah. Interview him right after he got knocked out. Good decision.
Jones called out Brock Lesnar, and he said, "You want to feel what it feels to get beat up by someone who weighs like 40 pounds less than you." Later that week, he was doing some interviews and had said that, someone had asked him, why Brock Lesnar? Why not Stipe? Why not just go for the belt? And he had said that Stipe presented some unique challenges for him that he hadn't worked through yet, and that he was more comfortable with the Brock Lesnar fight at this point.
Which is very interesting to say.
I'd like to see him just go ahead and fight Stipe.
I think so.
Attack those challenges.
Something different.
Yeah.
Hit him head on.
Yeah, and this is another opportunity for Stipe, I think, where if Stipe can get the best of Jones, then how does DC deny him that rematch?
That's true.
I think it's a good thing for both people, or the opportunity is there for both people. Like I said, if Stipe wins it, then I think DC has to give him the rematch. I think if Jones wins it, then it's anything you can do, I can do.
And see what happens.
That's so a good point. I think that is a very interesting fight, and I'd love to see that one made. Again, I'd like to see Jones fight a few more people at light heavyweight before that fight ever takes place.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't think that's a jump right in the pond type of situation, but that definitely needs to happen. Yeah, I like that a lot. Stipe, Jones, two completely different fighters than they've seen recently. So, yeah. Plus the overall, just again, they never fought. That's the most intriguing thing to me. I love seeing guys that have never fought.
Yeah, something new.
And you can start, not only starting something new a lot of times, you can start a new trend to where it's like, oh, hey, this fight was actually really nice. If I see a guy that's got this same stylistic, let's do this again. So, nice.
All right,
yeah, good stuff.
I guess we'll keep up with the heavyweight division. I just want to know who you think will be the heavyweight champion on January 1st, 2020.
Yep, I like it. So, we all know that I've been a huge Anthony Smith fan with this lightweight coming up, but I do think John Jones will probably end up beating him just because of his talent, which leads me into your question. I think John Jones will hold that belt at some point in 2020. Now, do I think that should happen? Does it depend on everything else? But I don't know. I think you brought up a good point earlier. Jones is on a burning fire type of mentality right now that he wants to get up into heavyweight and say, look, I'm a little dude. I've been down here killing everybody here. I can come up here and do the same thing. I think what you just said, Jones comes up, somehow fights Stipe, whether it's for the belt or to get into the belt contention. I think January 1st, 2020, Jones holds that belt. Yeah, even if Stipe regains it, I think Jones holds that belt.
I think that DC will have the belt on January 1st, 2020.
Still hold it?
And he will lose it very closely, or very soon after that.
To John Jones?
That's what I think. I think that...
Which you probably be very right.
DC will be waiting out for a little bit longer. I think he will fight at least twice more, probably twice more. If he fights Brock Lesnar, I see him winning.
Yep.
He's not losing the belt there. I would love to see a rematch with Stipe. I think he could very well win that. So let's say he wins if he fights twice this year. Maybe it's Brock and Stipe. I think he could win them both. If he ends up fighting John, I think John will win. I think John's so good. So let's let's say...
I've never heard you say that. I've never heard you say that. John's that good. It's the first time, man.
Yeah. This is a new thing for me.
I was going to say, you've never been a component for John or anything.
But,
just obviously.
Let's say this all happens quicker.
Okay.
John's the fight.
It's March.
John's the
We're in
fight in
March
July.
here.
Let's say John's the fight in July.
Okay.
And John comes up and beats him. I don't think DC faces him for a fourth time. Yeah, I think he's done at that point, and that's why I don't think that's the fight. But I think if that fight happens, then I think Kane fights John.
Oh, jeez.
And then I don't know if John's the champion, because I think that John is as good as anyone in the heavyweight division, except maybe a healthy Kane. And I think a healthy Kane
that's a different beast.
is the next future the next champion of the heavyweight going forward.
Okay. I like that because I want to play a devil's advocate, because I know I said this to you earlier. I think this, on the other end, I don't think it's going to happen, but I know I said Jones going. Let's say Jones comes up to heavyweight and miraculously does not do well. Let's say he loses to DC, he loses to Stipe, he loses to Kane, and then all of a sudden Jones is not even in the contention to really do anything in the heavyweight division. Then I think Stipe on January 1st gets his belt back.
Yeah,
because
he's the next best guy.
I think he comes in. I say he fights. Let's say Jones at some point.
All right, let me turn this on your head.
All right.
Let's say the scenario is Jones does not come up to heavyweight.
Period.
Then go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Stipe takes it back.
Okay.
I think Stipe gets a second or possibly third trilogy, which I don't think a third. I don't think we have enough time. I don't think there's going to be that.
Plus, it wouldn't be a trilogy at that point.
What do you mean? Well, no, if it back to back. I'm saying Stipe fights him, wins the belt, then wins it again.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Rematch followed by trilogy.
Yeah, like early 2020, he gets a trilogy with DC because he beat him, so they're 1-1.
Okay.
I think if Jones is not in the contention and by some miraculous way Kane does not have a successful year, I think it falls back to Stipe.
Okay.
Again, all speculation from two guys that sit on the couch in basketball shorts watching fights. Okay? But that's just my opinion, because I want to see the guys that deserve it get it. I don't want to see a Derek Lewis Volkov ending fight. I want to see somebody that dominates, made a statement, said this is my fight, much like DC does.
Yeah, I think Stipe will have it again. I don't think it'll be January 1st.
It's going to be 21.
It'll be some other time. Some other time.
All right. I'm down with that. I like that.
Let's move on to the light heavyweight division.
I like this.